Hey guys, what's happening? Welcome back to my channel. If you're looking for IT consulting for small and medium business, I can probably help. You can connect with me at direct.me/Cantave. So today's question and topic is how to break into IT without any experience. And I'm going to talk about three different strategies to break into IT without any experience. So real quick, my story is this. I was in the U.S. Navy for 6 years. When I initially came into the military, I scored very high on the ASVAB, and I was able to get positioned into a very coveted rating in the U.S. Navy called an electronics technician. So I came in as an ET with quick advancement to E4. And there was a bonus attached to that rating as well. So I had to complete boot camp, and then I got some advancement to E4. And then when I got out of boot camp, they gave me this enlistment bonus. In the military, that rating, electronic technician, is a rating where I was working on very expensive proprietary shipboard technologies that we used for communication with shore, and our helo that we used on the ship for data, for radar, for forward-looking infrared, what they call FLIR. And these shipboard sets were very proprietary, very specific to the U.S. Navy. They were modular, had circuit boards that had particular functions. They were designed to be on warships. They were designed very sturdy, very modularized, very redundant. These circuit boards, and we had to learn circuit level electrical engineering, the fundamentals, which is what I went to school for, an ITA school for a year, in order to learn how to function and troubleshoot these systems. So we're talking about, circuit level electrical engineering, how capacitors work, how resistors work, how Ohm's law, resistance, all of these different electrical engineering concepts. And this is back in the early 2000s. Of course, now technology is advanced. And I'm not sure what they use out in the fleet now, but back then it was very fundamental electrical engineering. Now, what I did was I did my time in the military, and I did cross-rate over to IT, probably about the third or fourth year in the military. I cross-rated to IT, and I did shipboard land administration at a very small level on one of my last duty stations, which was a supply ship. I took that experience when I got out the military in 2006, and I wrote a resume. I went to a resume writer and wrote a resume and told him, this is what I want to do. Now, I could have gone the electrical engineering route and looked at some electrical engineering roles, but for some reason, reasons which I can't remember right now, I decided I wanted to go into IT because I didn't really know anything about any electrical jobs outside of the military on the civilian side. I didn't know what to apply for, but I thought IT was probably the easiest way for me to go. And I probably should have looked at some, electrical engineering roles since I had the experience, but I went with the IT route. So when I decided to go with the IT route, I targeted help desk. And this is very simple. I don't want you to get this complicated, right? So what I did was, even though I know some of you probably watching this that probably didn't have any military experience, and of course you all know, or you should know, that I have a course coming out where I'm going to be teaching and mentoring people to break into IT. So keep on the look for that. But if you don't have any experience and you're outside of the tech industry, there's a variety of ways to get into the industry. So what I did was I went to a resume writer. I had the resume writer write my resume up for a particular role. He structured the resume, wrote out the verbiage, keywords, articulated, all the keywords that you will be looking for, that a hiring manager or recruiter will be looking for that particular role. I then researched and interviewed and studied content for the position, even though I didn't have any experience. But I did that so that when I got in the interview, I could answer some questions. So it's pretty simple process. And that actually worked. I was able to get my first help desk role making $15 an hour with the city of Chicago back in 2006. So you might be saying to yourself, okay, Dean, I don't have the military experience. I probably couldn't do what you do. Maybe you are a corporate professional working in some other different organization, or in another field outside of IT, and you want to get into IT. Now, what do you do? So I'm going to talk about three things that you can do to break into IT. So the first thing that you can go after if you're working outside the industry, and generally, these are the type of people that I will be targeting for my program, is people that, work in banking or work in finance, or they work in law and they don't work in the IT space, but they want to come into this industry. Or you might even work in real estate and you want to get into IT. The first thing that I can advise you to do is to go after some certifications. So those certifications would be CompTIA. CompTIA has a plethora of certifications: A plus, Network plus, Security plus, CCNA, Cisco Certified Networking Associate, PMP, Project Management Professional, which is instituted by the Project Management Institute, PMI. Microsoft has a ton of certifications. There are cloud certifications that you can go after: AWS, Amazon Web Services, GCP, Google Cloud, Azure, which is Microsoft's cloud platform, Azure. They have certifications. There are so many different things that you can do in terms of certification to kind of get your foot in the door. Of course, you still have to follow the process that I talked about, which is fine. You go get the certification. That's great. But you still need to train for the interview, and you still need to train for the role, right? Because organizations are not going to do it for you, right? They just want people coming in the door that they know they can do the job. And when you get to the gatekeeper, you have to convince the gatekeeper that you can do the job. That's all we're trying to do here. The second tip that I'll give you is for people that are corporate professionals in other arenas and other industries. And so I'll give you an example of that. I have a young lady that I'm working with right now. She's a bank manager. She's been a bank manager for 15 years. She has direct reports. She's managed teams of 10 to 15 for a good portion of that entire time. She does not have any IT experience, but she wants to get into IT. I told her that the best route for her, given her experience, is project management. Now, I'm picking that for her for a variety of reasons. One is her experience would translate very well into a project manager role. And so we want to do a like for like. We want that easy entry into the space, given her background. And two, we want the compensation to be commensurate with that as well. So think about if you are somebody that works in banking, and I'm using her for an example. You make less than $70,000 a year. Me converting her and helping her to land a project management role will completely transform her life, will take her directly into the six-figure range. And that's the type of assessment and type of dialogue that we have with our clients to say, hey, this is probably a better fit for you in terms of landing a role in IT. And this is probably the route that you want to go. And so let's figure out what the best route is based on what you want to do. And obviously, how much money you want to make. She's also interested in the fact that you can work remote. Last time I checked, there are tens of thousands of project management roles that are out there that are open, which will allow you to work remotely. So that checks all of the boxes in terms of what she wants to do in terms of a crossover position into IT. So again, we're going to follow the same process. We're going to build a resume, build the interview skills. We're going to train her and prepare her for the hiring manager, right, to land the role. The third item I want to cover is essentially targeting very easy and low-level entry points. Now, you may be a corporate professional working in a different space where you're used to making a certain amount of money. And so this may not work for you, right? You don't want to be somebody who works, let's say you work in real estate and you make six figures in real estate and you want to enter in IT. Well, it doesn't make sense for you to come in via help desk, right? Help desk is very easy. It's low level. There's a very low bar of entry for help desk. But you're only going to make only so much money. I'd argue, most help desk roles are less than $60,000 a year. And that's me just off the top of my head without doing any specific research. And I've worked in the field long enough so I would know. But there are some other avenues that I talked about. I just talked about project management. There are sales engineering roles. You may be able to parlay your existing background and experience. Let's say you're an attorney or a lawyer. There are some legal technology startups that have software that serves the legal community. You might want to target companies like that as an attorney or somebody that works in law that wants to get in IT and parlay your skills as a paralegal, as a lawyer, into working into the technology space in law, or a company that their base or their customer base or their product serves the legal profession. And so you still will need to go through the process of obviously training yourself in IT, understanding some fundamentals, which is what we're going to do in my program. And then obviously, your resume and LinkedIn and networking and interviewing and getting prepped for that. So when we talk about breaking into tech, this is relatively straightforward, not necessarily easy, but relatively straightforward. We want to look at your background, see what you've done in the past, see where you want to go and what you want to do, and then make that to a role in IT strategically that you have a good chance of landing, that you can break into the space. And once you get into the space, the whole goal is just to get into the space. Because once you get into the space, then you can have that experience and start building up that cadre of experience on your resume so that now you can go after different roles, which is essentially what I've done. I've built up a cadre of experience on my resume working in IT for 23 years, all the way from help desk to project management to director role to leadership roles. And now I can speak to a varying degree of different roles and positions and technologies that allow me to pivot throughout the industry and maintain some longevity in the industry. By the way, last time I checked, there are going to be, or projected to be, or are currently open, I don't know, some 500,000, better 750,000 cybersecurity roles in IT that are unfilled, right? It's a huge need for cyber, right? So that could be an angle that you might want to attack. And working with cybersecurity professionals, I can tell you that a lot of them are self-taught and a lot of them get their knowledge and expertise on the job. There are a variety of tools that you can buy. One of them is a Raspberry Pi. It's a very, very well-known cybersecurity tool. It's a very small box that runs Raspberry Pi OS that you can use. It has a ton of different hacking tools and software tools on it that you can buy that and you can order it, have it at home, and practice and train with it at home in your spare time to get familiar with cybersecurity and hacking if you want a role in cybersecurity. So there are a lot of different strategies here. YouTube, obviously, using YouTube for training, but ultimately at the end of the day, we need to figure out some way to kind of build up the experience or be able to position you in such a way so that when you are before a hiring manager, you can substantively answer questions and pass an interview. All right, guys, thanks for watching this video today. That was my spiel on the best ways to break into tech. I appreciate you watching this video. As always, you can reach me at direct.me/Cantave. There should be a link below this video. And if you have any suggestions of any content that I should shoot, any questions you want answered, please feel free to contact me. See you on the next video.